The girl stood there, confused. From the way Glaczio had just put it, this thing didn't seem to be a good thing. But she didn't quite understand what it meant anyway. Chosen one? Me? What does that mean? Seriously, if he's finally going to tell me the truth, he could at least do it in a way that I can understand. Cheyenne looked at him questioningly, and the healer sighed. Sasha now began to speak in his place. Well, first of all, it's just a guess. We're not entirely sure. But as Glaczio already said, unfortunately, pretty much everything points to it. Judging by the look on your face, you don't even know what we're talking about or what it means. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's better if we don't tell you yet. She looked away, embarrassed, but Glaczio slowly shook his head and reproached Cheyenne's friend. It was your idea to tell her, sweetheart, so explain to her what the situation means. It's too late to keep quiet now. But Sasha closed her eyes. The healer sighed and took over speaking for the young woman. I can see that the unpleasant part is once again left to me. All right, sweetheart. As Sasha Mouse here has already mentioned, I can't give you any guarantee about our assumption at this point. But if it were true, you would have a big problem, because you would be constantly pursued, always in danger, and people would continue to try to kill you. You would have a destiny, a fate that you must fulfill, and thus you would not be able to live your life freely as you would like. And what would probably be the worst part of it all is that you would see many people die because of you and for you. If you really are the chosen one, it would explain why you are being hunted and why Atropax wants your crystal. Where should I start? There is a legend about two gods who watched over and protected this world during the Yin-Yang era. But one day, it is said, they began to quarrel, and their mood spread to the people who knew of their existence and worshipped them. The entire world population was divided in two. Some were followers of the goddess of darkness, while others sided with the god of light. Eventually, a great war broke out, destroying much of the world and nearly wiping out humanity. The gods blamed each other, and a bitter struggle ensued between them. Then came the great apocalypse, in which the world changed, and all the dead were miraculously brought back to life. Peace reigned for a long time, until a few people found records in ancient temples. The documents were from the people who had fought on the side of the god, and they clearly showed that the goddess was in the wrong. The people who found these ancient records then assumed that the goddess of darkness had triumphed in the battle against the god of light and changed the world in her favor as it is today. For nowhere was any white light as mentioned in the ancient writings. Even the sky seemed to have changed, for at that time, according to the writings, the stars were white and the black Nox Astrum Vitae did not exist. Instead, there was a bright white planet that people called the sun. Another, called the moon, also disappeared. Everything that was white seemed to have been banished. Now it was no longer difficult for people to believe the ancient writings, and they founded the knighthood, with the aim of restoring the old world and helping the god of light defeat the goddess of darkness once and for all. They then hoped for his help and support in convincing humanity of their leadership qualities in order to lead the world into a glorious future. For when everyone was finally on their side, they would no longer have to kill so many people. That doesn't sound like evil knights at all, does it, little angel? You probably think that their goals are not reprehensible, but well-intentioned. Yes, that's what I thought at first, too. But then the Shadow Servants were formed, because they had found records left behind by those who were on the side of the goddess. These records stated that the old world was doomed to destruction if nothing was done. This also seemed to be the reason for the dispute between the gods. The ancient writings on this side said that the god responsible for the world had been negligent, causing the land to slowly die. The goddess who had cared for all life seemed to have no choice but to fight him and change the world for the benefit of all her creatures. The Shadow Servants therefore considered the knight's plan to recreate the dying world to be absolutely insane. In addition, archaeologists suspect that there was no Umbrauror and no Lumenium in the Yin-Yang era, but today we can no longer live without these two forces. So if the old world is restored, we are all doomed to death. This theory has not yet been proven, but it's entirely possible. I suspect that is why the Knights are experimenting so much with lumenium. Either they want to test how the world reacts in addition to their actual research, or they don't care about wasting energy, because they will soon change everything anyway. For my part, I don't think much of the Knights' plans. Their approach is far too reckless. They could potentially wipe out the entire world with their plans. In my opinion, they should leave everything as it is and reduce the number of experiments. There must have been a good reason why the world changed, whether you believe in the legend of the gods or not. Cheyenne had been listening attentively the whole time and found it interesting to learn so much about the world. It's amazing how much he knows. Goddess of darkness, chosen one of darkness. Could it be that these two things are connected? So far he hasn't said anything about his chosen one business, except for the problems and the difficulties it entails. The girl was unsettled and even a little frightened after everything she had just been told, but she tried to remain calm and waited for the healer to continue. Now you know this old legend, and you know more about knights and shadow servants. I bet you're wondering why I told you this, since you actually wanted to know about the term chosen one. Well, you can probably guess that it's all connected. Since the apocalypse, the gods have never been seen again. That's why after so long, they are now only legends. But 20 years ago, something happened that points to their existence. They just don't seem to show themselves to humans anymore. At that time, a child was born. It is said that on the first night of its life, it was visited by the god of light, because the next morning there was a scroll in its cradle. Written on the piece of yellowed paper in lumenium was that this baby was the chosen one of light, and the god himself had signed it. The knights took this as a sign that the god supported their plan and had therefore given them the chosen one. This boy was trained by the best knights, his every wish was granted, and he was given the best private tutors to nurture his intelligence. He was considered a child prodigy because he made much better and faster progress than other children. For this reason, however, they also experimented on him from time to time. The knights wanted him to lead them one day, but then something happened that only they and the chosen one know about. For this special boy, blessed by God, who was already an adult at that time, ran away. To this day, no one knows if he is still alive or where he is. Many people have already forgotten him, but those who still know who he is have considered him a traitor ever since, because he simply disappeared and ran away from his tasks and duties. There are rumors that the knights have doubted him ever since the Chosen of Darkness was born 17 years ago. For she was given not only a scroll but also a black crystal. The knights did everything in their power to find and kill her as a baby, knowing that, like the chosen one who had not received the crystal, she was born in Exciduma Magna and could one day become a threat. However, she was not found as a toddler. When she was finally discovered and they saw that she lived in the Undercity and made no move to go to the Shadow Servants, they simply observed the girl and left her alone for the time being. I believe that you are the chosen one, little angel. Your story matches theirs perfectly. Of course, we can't say for sure at this point, as coincidence cannot be ruled out, but the evidence is sufficient for a 95% probability. However, I don't quite understand why the knights are now hunting you out of the blue. You really haven't been a great danger. They must be up to something. After all, they don't just want to kill you, they also want your crystal. But what would the knights need the black crystal of the chosen one for? There are so many questions on this subject. If the gods really exist, why don't they care more about this world? Why do the chosen ones exist at all, and what is their task? Perhaps the gods are just using you chosen ones to continue their battle. Then it would probably be your task to thwart the king's plans. However, these are just some of my thoughts, and we can only be sure once we read the scroll. But there is nothing written on the note except your name and a few letters. You'll have to find out for yourself. But one thing I know for sure, you must not die under any circumstances. So, now you know everything I was taught about this subject at school. Glaczio finished his lecture and turned away from Cheyenne. He walked towards the garden entrance and raised his hand in farewell. As he did so, he explained why he was leaving. "Right, you two lovelies, I have to go. I have a date waiting for me, and I'm already very late. See you later, my darlings." Sasha looked after him in disbelief and sighed. Why is he just disappearing like that? Ah, that idiot! He always leaves in the most difficult situations. The young woman seemed extremely annoyed, but then she saw Cheyenne staring thoughtfully at a flower. "I'm supposed to be someone so special, but I'm just a girl from the Undercity, a nobody." Glaczio sounded as if the chosen one was very important and had a lot of responsibility, but I can't. He said I mustn't die, but if someone hadn't been helping me all the time, I would have been dead long ago. I can't be the chosen one. It just can't be true. I'm not good enough for something like that. I don't even know what the chosen one's task would be. Besides, I actually want to decide my own life and choose my own tasks freely. Glaczio also said that it's not certain yet, and it could be a mistake. But on the other hand, that would be the answer to all my questions. That's what everyone was hiding from me. My grandparents, my best friend seems to have known about it too. The knights, Glaczio, and even Sasha. But I don't want any of this, and I'm not afraid, so why would they still want to kill me? What if I just shirk my duty, if I am really the chosen one? Then the knights will surely stop hunting me. But I don't even know what my task is yet. Maybe I should just give them my crystal. No, that wouldn't be right. Then I would be helping my enemies and probably bringing about the death of the world. I don't want that either. Glaczio suspected that I had to thwart the knight's plans, but how on earth am I supposed to do that? I'm just me. Cheyenne was confused. She didn't know what to do next. Sasha tried to free her from her gloomy thoughts. That was probably too much for you, huh? But just try not to dwell on it too much, okay? After all, we're not sure yet. For now, you should carry on as before. So, your preliminary goal is to still go to the Shadow Servants. Then we'll think about everything else, yes? If you really are the chosen one, then you have to come to us anyway. We've been waiting so long for you to appear. When the Superator realized 17 years ago that the chosen one of darkness had also been born, he greatly intensified the war effort and gave everyone new hope. That's why the clans gained many new members at that time. Because with the good prospects of a fair chance against the knights, people dared to switch sides. Even some of the undecided ones came to us, and now there will be even more, because when you go to the Shadow Servants, their hopes of victory against the knights will be even higher than before. With you on our side, we can do it. I'm absolutely certain. We'll spoil the Tin Cans party. And add plenty of pepper. This world finally has a chance for a future again. Thank you, Cheyenne. Sasha seemed incredibly happy now that she had listed all the good things they could achieve through the Chosen One. But Cheyenne only felt more uncertain. Her friend had not managed to cheer her up this time. The girl continued to stare at the flower. Adukas nudged her hand encouragingly, but even that did not help. Sasha seemed to have realized that she had gone a little overboard with her optimism and added a few more sentences in a more serious tone and with a sympathetic look. Of course, it must be incredibly difficult to process all this and bear all this responsibility, but everything will be fine, okay? But Cheyenne shook her head. It was all too much for her. My whole life is built on a lie. No one ever told me the truth. People are dying because of me, and because of me there are even more wars and deaths than there already are. And how am I supposed to be able to thwart the knight's plans? Why me? There are so many people in this world, why me? I can't do all this, I'm the wrong person. No, I'm not the chosen one. It must be a mix-up, and that will turn out. Hopefully soon. I don't want to talk anymore now. The girl walked past Sasha. Adukas did not leave her side as she headed for the exit of the garden. The fairy wolf seemed to sense that something was wrong. Cheyenne didn't want to think anymore. Why had she been so curious? She wished she had never asked. Her friend ran after her, and together they went to her room in the inn.